I've been using Conquest now for just over, I'll say maybe 6 to almost 8 months. And in that period, I found that it's one of the most human-centric planning tools I've come across. I've used two other planning tools before using Conquest. And I think that although we live in a digital age, clients still appreciate a more, what's the word I'm looking for, a more human touch component to their financial planning. You live the world where everything is all digitized and everything is, I feel that it's a detachment. And I think Conquest does a great job to merge those two components between that human touch and the technology that you guys brought up into the software, particularly with the AI assistant, Sam. So it gives clients real-time analysis of their objectives. And I find it particularly empowering for clients in the way Conquest does the task management once you've kind of finished building a plan. And clients can come out of that meeting knowing, okay, this is what the advisor needs to do. This is what I need to do in order to get to my goals, in order for my advisor to feel that, we're working all on the same page. So I think that's how clients' needs are being supported. There's a few. I find that, first of all, the first basic one that I think everyone is point this one out is the user interface. Conquest did a really good job to make the whole system and platform easy on the eyes, not just for the advisor, but also for the client. I found that with other softwares, it's quite data heavy, or it's focused on the numbers, and it's not very attractive and engaging for clients to utilize. So the user interface alone is the first go-to for advisors, and that entices engagements from both sides, advisor and client. But the one that I really enjoyed quite a bit, I think I mentioned before, was Sam, the planning AI assistants. I think it's the assistant that you never thought you needed, and then you started using, you're like, why didn't I have this from before? So I find that one of those features, in addition to the user interface, is the Sam feature. And then I think the other two ones that I really got to enjoy a lot, and also clients appreciate, is the stress test, specifically the what if analysis feature that they have within the planning component, where you can have a plan solved and you think that things are good to go for a client's objectives to go forward, but then you're navigating an economic environment that we're just recently in, and you're thinking, okay, how would the client fare if inflation goes up another 1%, or what will happen if the market crashes? And you can have, I think, up to 4 scenarios you can dump it in all at once, and you can see the outcome of that in real time. And the clients, when they see that, it's like, oh, okay, so even if this were to happen, they feel comfortable. And the fact that you can show that to a client fairly easily, I think that's a nice feature to have built into the plan. So I kind of like that. And then, of course, as advisors, one of our difficulties is getting clients to execute on the strategies we could recommend them. So the to-do feature that's built into the plan, and the fact you can even build a report with it, like I mentioned before, where you can say, okay, this is the advisor task, this is the client task. I think that clients can walk away knowing, okay, we can just lecture them on what they needed to do, but we all know exactly where everybody needs to chip in order to make their plans come through, right? So that's, I know I went all over the place, but I think the features, there's many to talk about, but I think that's one of them, that a few of them that make Conquest top of the line. I think the one that resonates, that's still stuck in my head right now, is that we're doing a plan for clients who are approaching retirement in about 6 months to a year. They live a very frugal lifestyle, so nothing of concern when it came to expenses. But what they were worried about is that once they actually ended up retiring, they weren't too sure how much of their savings plus their pension will carry on to the future when you add in the cost of inflation, the cost of living, right? So we planned out, and we saw that the plan was actually going to generate some deficits. I believe it was 10 years into the retirement, so fairly soon, considering that typically people live 20 plus years in retirement. So the one thing that really they enjoyed was that I presented a plan to them. We already solved the plan, and I got this idea from another advisor as well, where we solved the plan, but we disengage all the strategies that I would recommend the client, so they could see where their starting point was, and we started building strategy at a time, building into the plan that I had solved based on what they had told me. and they were happy with that. So there were some recommendations, maybe reducing expenses, but I didn't feel that was right by them, just because they're already living a frugal lifestyle. It would be really suck for them to cut expenses even further. So the one thing that picked the client's eye was that there was a strategy by Sam on the side saying, consider selling a property and renting it. We had talked about it, but it was never really something that was top of mind for the client. But when we had presented the plan in that manner, we were building strategy, and it is okay, I'm already living frugally and I have to cut my expenses in order to get to where I want to go. I'm really not liking that. So he was like, okay, what happens if we sell the property and we decide to rent? How will that turn out to be in my retirement? And when we implemented that strategy, it actually made more sense for them to do that than to cut expenses, because they would get to maintain their lifestyle. But then the sale of the property would add that much needed liquidity to minimize that longevity risk. So what we realized is that, what she realized is that she could play with me using Conquest to figure out when would the ideal time be and what the financial implication would be if they sold, let's say, the property in 5 years or in 10 years. And then they also got to play with the potential rental costs, because they are more familiar with the rental market and where they live. So we put $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. How did that all play out? And they came out of that. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Okay, maybe I should think about doing certain things in my home and change this and change that. And that'll open up a whole different conversation, just from that ability of them being engaged and being able to see things in real time. So, and I have many stories of that, but I think that's the one that resonated with me the most, because the client kept on, talking about how that's what I'm looking for. She didn't feel like a student; she's more a partner in the planning process, right? I think that's one way to put that. It's the planning assistant you never thought you needed until you experienced its impact. I know I'm repeating that, but I can't emphasize that enough. Our service, we're a planning first practice. So our service level, including my own, has drastically improved, particularly around the turnaround time between data entry, data gathering, data entry, presentation. That whole workflow has shrunk in general, right? Because the two choke points when you're doing financial planning is the data gathering process. How quickly clients turn around what you need from them, so you can actually get into do the data dump into Conquest. And then the planning process usually doesn't take that long, although Conquest has really shrunk that in general. But that has really helped. Sam has really made that process easy, because once we have that data, the strategies begin to come up. Now, I should note that, of course, Sam being the AI assistant, you can have it fully on, you can have it completely off, or you can have it in between. I like writing in between, and I think most advisors like doing that way. It's like having that assistant next to you. And I think my capacity has increased with Sam without reducing quality. In fact, I feel that, like I said, my plans versus the time spent has improved in that sense. And another thing that I do like as well is that because capacity and the bandwidth has increased, we have the ability now to take on more planning clients without reducing the quality for current clients' update plans that we need to do. Right? If you have your clients, you still need to do updates, but you can do those updates and still have the capacity to onboard new planning clients. So there's more benefits to Sam, but I think the capacity aspect and the ability to really iterate and change update strategies, play around with things within a short amount of time without having to go fetching and dig into reports to figure out what the impact is. I think that's a huge benefit with Sam. Level of service, planning capacity is always a big issue with any practice or any wealth management firm. There's a lot of time that takes in, because you want to do a great job without sacrificing quality. But I think at the same time, one of the biggest outcomes of Conquest is the level of engagement. We see that engagement has really gone up with clients, just because of how your user interface is so very human-like. You've done a good job at merging the component of the digital age while still keeping that human-centric aspect of planning. And I think like I said before, we get to still service our current clients without compromising the ability to take on new clients, right? So I think that instead of spending more time in navigating through numbers and cumbersome data-heavy reports, Another aspect of our practice that we enjoy doing is having deeper conversations so we can really integrate behavioral discussions into planning. Like I said earlier, planning it can be very numbers based. It can feel like it can be lecture like, but I find that because we can reduce that time frame between gathering information and producing an outcome, the behavioral component, which is really the important aspect, because at the end of the day, we're trying to make sure that clients have their habits in place to be able to implement the strategies that they're looking to do, right? To achieve the goals they're looking to achieve. So I think that the time that we get back allows us to really further improve our job and further improve the time that the client gets to be engaged with the advisor, as opposed to spending time with numbers. And numbers are great, but it can get boring after a while. I think the one that comes up to mind is that it minimizes that detachment between technology and humans. Again, it's an AI world and everybody is jumping that bandwagon of, I'm not denying the benefits, and yes, there's some potential concerns with it, but I think things are moving so fast that I feel that some individuals are feeling left out of the digital age. But with Conquest, you're able to retain the positives of the digital age while still being able to provide an avenue for engagement for both the advisor and client. So I think that's one that it sets Conquest apart from all the other planning softwares. And I think, I think I already mentioned this before, that other softwares can feel like you're presenting in a lecture setup. It can be data heavy, unattractive to both owner and the client, so it kills the engagement from both parties. Whereas I think even with the reports that Conquest has, they're also quite dynamic, that you can change them on the fly to get as granular as daily to as the big picture view as annually, right? So the ability to switch that with this quite quickly and with the confidence that it's going to be accurate, it's reassuring for the advisor. Coming from a perspective of being a planning first practice, so if your practice, and advice from talking to the advisor, if your practice is really focused on planning, you're struggling with capacity, or you feel that there is a more intimate way for you to relay your value to the clients that you serve, I think just give it a try. Play with the software, go talk to the advisory support team, get a sense of, get all your questions answered as to what it is that you're looking to achieve, and see how that would fit. Of course, like we do in financial planning, we do fit meetings. Do a fit meeting with software and see exactly how that would address some of the needs or some of the concerns you're trying to address currently. But I find that, once I got a taste of it, it was a no-brainer. It was straightforward. It's like, yep, this is exactly what I was looking for. Capacity was the number one, and I keep still coming back to capacity. It's a big deal because time is one of the greatest currencies when you're doing the planning, right? So clients want to have their data on time and in reasonable time, but at the same time, you don't want to compromise quality, and that's the benefit of Conquest. You get quality without you get time without quality compromise.